Good morning. Start your day informed and ahead. Today is Thursday, the 30th of July. I'm Angela Lagunzad-Castro.
And I'm Cesca Litton-Kalaw. We are bringing you the perfect mix of the headlines you need and the conversations that shape your day.
From the news desk to the digital space, we have got you covered. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and welcome to Morning Matters.
Unusual. That's how former bank managers described the withdrawal of more than ₱500 million by the Office of Vice President Sara Duterte. They testified on day 10 of the Vice President's impeachment trial. Retired Land Bank Shaw Boulevard branch manager Violeta Constantino said the OVP withdrew ₱500 million in cash. OVP Special Disbursing Officer Gina Acosta encashed 4 checks worth ₱125 million each. The transactions were made from December 2022 to July 2023. Constantino described the transactions as unusual and said it was the first time she had encountered such withdrawals. The prosecution also presented former Land Bank DepEd branch manager Nenita Camposano. Camposano said DepEd Special Disbursing Officer Edward Fajardo encashed 3 checks with a combined value of ₱112.5 million. Vice President Sara Duterte was still the Education Secretary at the time.
Sa personal opinion namin sa bangko, parang syempre po, saan kaya gagamitin po yung cash na to?
Sa 32 years nyo po sa banking industry, sa Land Bank, nakakita na po ba kayo ng ganyang kalaking amount na withdrawal ever before?
First time po. Usually po kasi kaya naging unusual para sa akin kasi cash po siyang kinukuha. Sa other, naman po is, kumbaga nag-issue po sila ng mga cheque sa yung disbursement po nila by checks po, hindi po cash.
All right, on the part of the prosecution, they said that the 2 witnesses' testimonies yesterday could actually corroborate or corroborated the testimony of Ramil Madriaga, the supposed bagman of Duterte at that time. And sabi nga nila, lahat ng mga naging testimonya ni Madriaga from the bags, the color of the bags, the number of the bags, and even the time check, kung kailan na-withdraw yung pera, actually talaga tumutugma doon sa sinabi ni Madriaga. Pero yun nga, the big question here, of course, we know that the prosecution's priority here is to establish that there is alleged misuse of the confidential funds. So yesterday, was it really established? Yun itatanong natin sa guest nating lawyer mamaya. Hindi tayo para magpaka-lawyer dito.
Well, actually. No, but also interestingly, so the defense did not cross-examine both witnesses. Kaya mas mabilis yung proceedings din yesterday. And because they also said na they conceded that the 4 checks that were mentioned by Violeta Constantino were totoo naman. And it's the same approach with the previous article with the witnesses from the NBI that we're not denying that the video is authentic. So I guess we just have to wait and see kung ano nga yung magiging approach ng defense itself because hindi sila pumayag. Hindi sila pumayag sa change in
The order
of presentation.
Yeah, and I'm curious also how the defense will counter-argue what the witnesses said na unusual itong mga transactions, right, of the DepEd withdrawing ₱500 million in cash. So yesterday, we saw the 2 witnesses focusing on the paper trail and how the money was withdrawn, the documents, the checks. But next week, the prosecution will be presenting naman officials from the Commission on Audit. So COA na to, and they will be tackling the notice of disallowance. And syempre, when we talk about notices na ganito, it focuses on irregularity. So dito na ba mai-establish talaga ng prosecution yung misuse of confidential funds? And I also want to ask our guest later, si Attorney Domingo Cayosa, ano ba yung standard of proof when we're talking about misuse of confidential funds? Does the prosecution need to prove that the Vice President enriched herself, that she amassed wealth from this confidential funds? Or is it enough na yung misuse pa lang, na may irregularities, they didn't comply with procedural requirements? Is that enough to constitute already an impeachable offense?
And interesting din yung naging interjection ni Senator Ping Lacson. I don't know nga kung tama yung pagkakasabi niya, pero it gave us a lot of parang bigger perspective na dapat na magkaroon sila ng testigo na, let's say for example, a retired intelligence officer that would give us or would shed light on the process of how the confidential funds is being disbursed. Diba? Because he pointed out that there's a pattern during the encashment of checks. Parang nakakita niya every 3 months at meron pa nung parang malapit yung Pasko. So we want to know kung sa disbursement ba ng confidential funds, ganon every 3 months? Or diba usually kung meron bang operation at that time, tsaka lang magbibigay ng pera or kailangan lang ng pera because they want, meron silang operational fund. We don't know Di natin alam yun So magandang punto yung sinabi niya kahapon.
Kasi project-based supposedly ang paggamit ng confidential funds. It's not a quarterly thing.
Yun na nga yung sinasabi niya na the confidential and intelligence funds have limited purposes. So that's why it's only drawn when it actually requires the money. So what requires money? Everything.
Yun na nga So we'll see, maybe the burden of evidence is now with the defense. We're gonna see how that will unfold next week. But in other news, a coalition of women's rights advocates, academics, and civil society leaders has asked the Senate Committee on Ethics and Privileges to investigate Senator Pia Cayetano over her alleged posting of a spliced video during the impeachment trial of Vice President Sara Duterte. According to the complaint, Cayetano shared an edited video that falsely suggested House Prosecutor Representative Shel Diokno admitted the prosecution was pursuing Vice President Sara Duterte without evidence. The complainants argue that the alleged post violated the ethical standards expected of a senator judge and undermined the integrity and impartiality of the Senate as an impeachment court. The groups also urged the Senate Ethics Committee to impose appropriate disciplinary sanctions, saying the case was filed to uphold constitutional governance, judicial impartiality, and public trust in democratic institutions. So yesterday, after the impeachment trial, the prosecution also had a press briefing where they called this video that Senator Pia Cayetano released as alarming because, it gives the public a wrong impression already, suggesting that a member of the Senate, a senator judge, has already prejudged this case. And just for context, for people who haven't seen the video of that Senator Pia Cayetano released, it was a spliced video that suggested na parang nagbabakasakali lang yung prosecution. And parang chop-chop kasi yung video, right? So, to make it seem like they didn't really have the evidence, they're just gonna see kung meron mang mahanap. And of course, that's problematic, diba? Because you're putting a different context to something na hindi naman talaga sinabi ni Congressman Shel Diokno. So, as far as Senator Pia Cayetano is concerned, she hasn't released a comment yet regarding this. So, we'll see also how the Senate Ethics Committee will be acting on this.
So the complaint was submitted by Tindig Pilipinas. It's one of the groups that also submitted the complaint, the impeachment complaint versus the Vice President in the House of Representatives. But it was also backed by several other personalities nga. The chair of the Senate Ethics Committee right now is Senator Tito Soto. So I know Attorney Reggie Tongol was on The Big Story with Diego last night, and I think Diego also asked him about that complaint. And parang una nga sinabi na hindi naman motu proprio yon. So now that there's a complaint, kailangan hintayin kung ano yung action na ita-take.
Ang tanong din kasi dyan, na-constitute na ba yung ethics committee? Kasi yun yung naging problema before, diba? People are asking how come hindi na-reprimand si Senator Bato de la Rosa for, not showing up for work and, still receiving salary. And ang sinasabi ni Senator J.V. Ejercito at that time, hindi pa nako-constitute yung ethics committee, ganyan-ganyan. But going back to dun sa pinag-uusapan natin, and we have been discussing that the senator judges should be impartial in this case, and this could probably affect, actions like this could affect the trust of the public sa impeachment court, whether this has legal basis or not. But magkakaroon ng parang shade of doubt yung public na talagang there's biases in between those panels. So, yun nga. So, we'll see what's going to happen dun sa ethics complaint because alam naman natin, the Senate has its power to kumbaga, meron silang constitutional power to discipline its members. So, pwede nilang i-reprimand, pwedeng masuspend, pwedeng ma-expulsion,
Expel, yes.
ma-expel, ganyan. So, we'll see what's going to happen. Kasi iba pa rin yung grupo na gustong ipa-disbar naman
Yes.
si Senator Pia Cayetano. So, you have to remember, she is a lawyer. No? So, if ever ma-disbar siya, hindi natin sinasabi kung matutuloy yun, she's still the Senator of the Philippines.
One of the complainants, add ko lang din, also wants, aside from apologizing to Congressman Shell Diokno, is to take down the video. So hanggang ngayon, nandun pa rin pala siya.
Akala ko sabi nila recently deleted
took it
na.
down.
Take,
Okay.
check nga natin.
So,
Fact check natin. Journalism 101.
So they want the video to be taken down, an apology to Congressman Shell Diokno, and a
Public
statement.
apology,
Public
diba?
apology sa impeachment court. And a statement na rin from the Senate President or the presiding officer regarding spliced videos like this so that it won't be weaponized in the future. Ayan. So while Angela is
Well,
fact-checking if the
Angela
video
is
is still
checking.
up.
Wait lang.
Moving on to
Oh,
other
hindi, it's still
headlines.
here. Sorry.
Oh, it's still there.
Still here.
Okay.
Oh, pero what ang nangyari lang is they turned off the comment section.
Oh, that's okay. All right, President Bongbong Marcos says it is time to amend the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, or EPIRA. The president made the statement during the inauguration of the Energy Museum in Taguig, which also marked the 25th anniversary of EPIRA. He said that EPIRA helped open the power generation sector to private investors and led to the creation of the Energy Regulatory Commission. But he said several problems remain in the electricity sector, including high power rates. Meanwhile, Meralco says it is studying the president's call to remove system loss charges from electricity bills. Meralco Chairman Manny V. Pangilinan noted, though, that some energy loss is unavoidable, as electricity travels through power lines.
It's only fair that Filipino families pay for what electricity they use, not for inefficiencies that really are beyond their control. Energy security is a shared responsibility.
It's not a small matter to simply just because you can raise the bill, but the
Law of physics. Underlying cost.
the system loss is still there.
Yes.
It's not gonna disappear,
Yes.
right? So who's gonna pay for that? The
Sinasabi,
industry. It's gonna cost tens
sinasabi,
of billions of pesos. We will not survive.
The statement of the president in Isona has just thrown a spanner in the works. We'll cooperate with the government in terms of any amendments that may be needed with respect to EPIRA, which is a 2001 law.
All right, so we did hear President Bongbong Marcos address this in the SONA, and it got, very loud applause na tanggalin na yung system loss charges. But what exactly is system loss? For electricity to get from point A to point B, it travels through the wires, the cables, all of that. And somewhere in between point A and point B, may nababawasan siya. So there are technical factors like the flow of the electricity flowing through the wires, yung mga dinadaan, yung mga transformers, all that. But there are also non-technical factors. So yung mga nagnanakaw ng electricity,
Yeah,
yung mga
that's so
illegal
true.
connections, na syempre nababawasan yung actual paying consumers. So now, as Manny Pangilinan pointed out, who's going to shoulder the cost? Because the system loss is also unavoidable.
Yes.
Talaga.
And he said the whole industry will suffer
Yes.
if they will be forced to shoulder that. So we'll see, will the government subsidize this? But one low-hanging fruit that the government can do is actually remove the VAT dun sa
Yes.
system loss charges. Because yes, it's being charged 5 to 10% of our electricity bill, but may VAT pa yan, kaya nga sinasabi double whammy, right? There's still a 12% VAT on it. So maybe our lawmakers can remove that immediately. Senator Erwin Tulfo said at least nasa first hearing na ito in the upper chamber, and he's optimistic that they can amend the EPIRA law by the end of the year.
Yun ang importante, ma-amend din yun. And of course, sabi din ni Chairman MVP, na we are one with the President. Pero yun nga, there are questions that we need to address. Now in sports, Alex Ayala advanced to the quarterfinals of the Mubadala DC Open in Washington after defeating defending champion Leila Fernandez. The Filipina tennis star rallied from a 5-1 deficit in the second set before dominating the tiebreaker to secure the victory. The win avenged Ayala's previous loss to Fernandez in Stuttgart and leveled their WTA head-to-head record at 1 win apiece. Ayala will next face the winner of the match between Paulina Verzosa and Elina Svitolina. Congratulations!
Yes! No, so this is actually Alex. So with this one, Alex knew na Leila was playing a little better. Kasi medyo nag-tiebreak sila. But Alex, as always, being so gracious and very humble, she said na, I knew Leila was playing better. I knew that my level dropped a bit. So yung patience na lang daw talaga was key. But also on that note, the previous win against Zheng Qinwen. So with that, Alex already defeated all 3 medalists in the Paris Olympics. So Zheng Qinwen was the gold medalist. Donna Vekic, she's already beaten her twice. And then Iga Swiatek, she's also beaten her twice na.
Yeah, so best of luck to Alex. And what I also
Abangan
love,
natin yan.
of course, after her post-match, in her post-match interview, she said, because the interviewer asked her, what does it feel to be this famous, this popular in Washington? Because so many people recognize you, you're so popular now. And she said, I think the better question, it should be rephrased to, what is it like to be a Filipino?
Yes!
Alam mo naman,
always
Alex naman has always
proud.
been proud to be a Filipino. Ngayon, mag-question also how significant yung match niya between Paulina and Verzosa and Elina Svitolina. Diba? Ano yung magiging effect nun sa kanyang standing? Yun ang aalamin natin. Okay.
Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after a short break.
Welcome back. You are still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Pag-asa continues to monitor 2 low-pressure areas inside and outside the country. Now, should we expect another tropical cyclone in the coming days? And to answer that, Pag-asa weather specialist Lori De La Cruz now joins us on the line. Good morning, Lori. Ano ba ang latest dito sa dalawang low-pressure area na binabantayan ng Pag-asa?
Good morning, ma'am, at sa lahat ng ating mga tagapakinig. Sa kasalukuyan, yung low pressure area, huling nakita po yan, as of 8 a.m. ay na-dissipate na o nalusaw na itong low pressure area natin na nasa loob ng PAR. Habang yung isa naman po na nasa labas ng PAR, huling nakita sa layong 1,400 kilometers, silangan ng Eastern Visayas. At sa kasalukuyan, mababa naman ang chance na ito ay pumasok ng ating area of responsibility. So not likely naman na ito ay maka-apekto sa atin. Gayunpaman, may mga pag-ulan pa rin tayong inaasahan ngayon sa Ilocos Region at ilang bahagi ng Cordillera Administrative Region. Samantala sa Cagayan Valley, pwede rin maging maulap at may chance ng pag-ulan dahil sa easterlies, habang sa natitirang bahagi ng ating bansa, generally good weather. So improving weather naman ang ating inaasahan sa araw na ito hanggang bukas. Yan man ang latest mula sa Pag-asa. Ito po si Lori De La Cruz.
Lori, kahapon nakaranas tayo ng matinding pag-ulan dito sa Manila. Ano ba yung dahilan niyan?
Ayun po kahapon is dahil sa low pressure area.
So hindi naman habagat yan?
Hindi naman po. Yes po.
Oo. So aside from itong low pressure area, Lori, may easterlies din ba na nakakaapekto sa bansa?
Yes po, yung easterlies natin, as I mentioned po, ito po ay nakaka-apekto dito sa Cagayan Valley. So pwede po itong magdulot pa rin ng maulap na papaorin at mga posibilidad ng mga pagulan.
Alright, maraming salamat para sa update na yan. That was Pag-asa Weather Specialist Lori De La Cruz. And other news, 3 men are now facing charges after they were arrested for allegedly tampering with Meralco electric meters in Cavite. Mobile journalist Jazz Paredes has this report.
3 men have been arrested for allegedly tampering with Meralco electric meters in the municipality of General Emilio Aguinaldo, Cavite. The suspects allegedly targeted customers who wanted to lower their monthly electric bills. The CIDG Regional Field Unit 4A conducted an entrapment operation on Friday, July 24, with several Meralco representatives posing as customers. The operation led to the arrest of the alleged driver, negotiator, and electrician, one of whom was identified as a third-party lineman.
So, ang promise nila ay pwedeng i-calibrate ang resistor depende doon sa electric bill na gusto ng customer o yung mag-a-avail sa kanila. So, ibig sabihin, pag ang ginusto ng customer, 1,500 lang ang maging electric bill niya monthly ay magiging fixed na po yun sa kasunod pang mga buwan.
Authorities recovered a tampered electric meter, a resistor device used to manipulate the meter, and other equipment used to illegally alter electric meters. The operation stemmed from a complaint filed by Meralco after individuals were found offering electric meter tampering services online for a package price of 15,000 pesos. The suspects allegedly claim that they can calibrate the meter according to the consumer's desired monthly electric bill. However, police are warning the public that the illegal practice poses a serious safety risk.
So ang danger po nito ay pwedeng mag-overload at mag-short circuit ang kuryente, which is pwedeng mag-cause ng sunog or fire doon sa mga kabahayan, lalo-lalo na doon sa mga bahay na made in light material.
Authorities say the suspects had already serviced several customers, and those households are now being traced by the Philippine National Police and Meralco.
So nung mag-ausap namin ang tatlong arrested na suspects, ay nasabi po nila na may 31 household na po sila na nakakabitan. At ito po ngayon ang tinitrace namin ng PNP at ng Meralco para po matunto natin yung mga household na nakabitan na po nila.
The suspects are now facing charges for violating the Anti-Electricity and Electric Transmission Lines or Materials Privilege Act of 1994. Meanwhile, in a statement, Meralco said it continues to work closely with the Philippine National Police to intensify the fight against electricity theft, including illegal electric meter tampering. The company also urged the public not to avail of such illegal services, warning that offenders may face imprisonment and fines under the law. Meralco further called on the public to help combat electricity theft by reporting illegal connections and suspicious activities through its 24/7 hotline 16211 or via its official Facebook and social media accounts. Kapatid Jazz Paredes, we are One News.
Now, the Senate Committee on Energy resumes its hearing today on proposed amendments to the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, or EPIRA. And for the latest, we now go live to our mobile journalist, Merimon Reyes. Merimon, what can we expect from today's hearing?
Pauline, as mentioned by Senator Erwin Tulfo, Chairman of the Senate Committee on Energy, they will be looking into the supposed issue or problems being raised not only by the President in his last or latest State of the Nation address, but also from among communities and residents who have complaints regarding the supposed bill charges na sa kanila sinisingil. Ito yung tungkol doon sa systems loss na supposedly hindi raw consumers ang sinisingil nito. And while Senator Tulfo also filed resolutions to investigate such a matter, plus yung possibility na ma-amend yung EPIRA law kung saan magtatanggal yung VAT na pinapatong dito sa systems law, sa sinisingil din dun sa mga consumer, lahat ng mga yan matatalakay ngayong araw. At sinasabi ni Senator Tulfo, they are saying na pagkatapos itong mga susunod na pagdinig tungkol dyan ng Committee on Energy, isasalang agad nila ito for sponsorship sa plenary session, and they're expecting na makukuha yung suporta ng iba pa nilang kapwa-senador na nakikitang ito rin yung isa sa mga bagay na kailangan nilang mabigyan ng resolusyon. Pauline.
Merimon, ano yung timeline para dyan? Maipapasa ba itong amendment sa EPIRA law within the year?
Pauline, ang nasabi ni Majority Leader Senator Mig Zubiri, ang target nila hopefully before Christmas, before December, matatrabaho na rawin nila ito, mapoproseso na nila ito at maipapasa na kung sakali mang ano ang kakailanganing panukala tungkol dyan. So, think of it daw as an early Christmas gift, hopefully, kasi isa lang daw ito sa maraming problema na kailangang talakayin ng Senado, lalong-lalo pagdating sa affordability ng mga ordinaryong household sa basic necessities, facilities, or utilities na may kinalaman sa kanilang pang-araw-araw na buhay.
All right, thank you very much for that report. That was mobile journalist Merimon Reyes reporting. And in other news, paying bills and moving money online could soon become easier. This as the Bangko Sentral and the Philippine Payments Management Incorporated have launched 3 new digital payment services. Mobile journalist Fatima Baduria reports.
While fears over digital transactions still linger for consumers, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas along with Philippine Payments Management Incorporated has launched new initiatives in an effort to make payments easier. BSP, in partnership with PPMI, has activated initiatives including direct debit and InstaPay Cash In, intended to make digital payments more accessible for Filipino consumers. The move builds on BSP's National Retail Payment System framework, which aims to make transactions faster and interoperable across networks. From pilot tests involving a few banks, PPMI says more players have expressed their interest to join, with BSP even working on making InstaPay available across borders.
We're working to interconnect InstaPay, for now, the first one, with the instant payment systems of other countries so that the cross-border payments can be seamless and also efficient.
While payments are more accessible, a 15 peso transfer fee is still charged by some banks. But InstaPay Steering Committee Chairman Manuel Tagaza says this is now under review.
It's being reviewed, and the banks are being asked to show how they can do this. Right now, the choice of charging is on the sending bank, where the funds are coming from.
Meanwhile, Direct Debit PH allows billers to automatically collect payments from customers once they authorize it. However, Direct Debit PH Steering Committee Interim Chairman Carlo Nazareno says they have built guardrails for customers to maintain full control over their money.
Because the challenge of the Filipinos, as I mentioned, is we don't like people debiting our account. So how do we get them to be comfortable? We want you, as the end user, to have full control over what you agree and don't agree with. And again, aside from the flexibility, you can put the maximum of how much can be debited. And you can give a deadline. I said, you can say, I only agree to this mandate for the next 12 months.
According to PPMI, they expect more banks and e-wallets to participate in both initiatives by 2027. Kapatid Fatima Baduria, we are One News.
All right, now don't go away because Money Talks with Kathy Yang is up next to get you ahead of the markets. I'm Pauline Verzosa. Stay tuned to One News.
Good morning, mga kapatid. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Now, teachers groups have given President Bongbong Marcos a failing mark for his fifth State of the Nation address, or SONA. The Alliance of Concerned Teachers called the president's praise for teachers' lip service, saying he failed to address their long-standing demands. These include a 50,000 peso entry-level salary and an increase in the monthly personal economic relief allowance. The Teachers' Dignity Coalition also said praise is not enough and called for concrete government action. The groups also questioned the government's laptop distribution program, saying many teachers have yet to receive devices.
Sawang-sawa na kami sa mga salita. Ang kailangan namin ay aksyon at gawa. Hindi na kami nagtataka na marami sa mga teachers natin baon sa utang, 75% sa amin baon sa utang, at marami na talaga yung bumibitaw at nangingibang bayan.
Hindi naman namin kailangan papurihan, hindi naman namin kailangan bulahin. No, ang kailangan po natin ay substantial, no, na pagtugon ng gobyerno doon sa mga kahilingan ng mga guro.
And at this point, let's get an update from the House of Representatives. We have mobile journalist Amy Atienza. Amy, ano bang naging assessment ng prosecution dun sa naging testimonya ng kanilang unang dalawang testigo para sa Article 1 on the misuse of confidential funds?
Yes, Pauline, nasabi nga ng prosecution team na appetizer pa lang itong unusual na isinaad nga ng dalawang testigo doon sa pagsisimula ng kanilang presentasyon pagdating sa confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Ngayon, Pauline, ay magkakaroon din muli tayo ng press conference kasama naman si prosecution spokesperson Representative Zia Alonto Adyong, pati na rin si Bicol Saro Party List at House Prosecutor Representative Terry Ridon, para nga mas matalakay pa kung ano pa yung next steps moving forward ng prosecution team pagdating nga dito sa confidential funds ni Vice President sa mga pinapasabina nitong prosecution pagdating nga doon sa susunod na linggo na impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte ay sila Roderick Wamil na former State Auditor ng Commission on Audit sa Intelligence and Confidential Funds Unit habang kasama din dyan si Celine Del Campo na siyang current state auditor naman ng COA ICFAO at si Marivic Pareha mula sa Legislative Bureau ng House of Representatives. Pero yun nga, masaya naman sila doon nga sa naitalakay at naipresenta mismo ng dalawang testigo pagdating dito sa confidential funds. At ito na nga daw magsisimula mismo ng money trail ni Vice President Sara Duterte, lalo na nung naungkat itong encashment checks ni VP Sara sa Office of the Vice President pati sa Department of Education.
Amy, ano ba yung naging highlight para sa prosecution dun sa naging testimonies ng dalawang bank officials kahapon? Kasi nabanggit nga nila, 'di ba, na unusual para sa kanila yung mga naging transaksyon ng OVP at DepEd. Mako-consider ba na big win 'yon para sa prosecution?
Well, they didn't directly say na big win dahil ito pa nga daw ay sinasabing simula pa lang, kumbaga patikim pa lang ito sa kung ano pa yung may papakita ng prosecution pagdating sa usapin ng confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Pero yun nga, kinakailangan lang din nila talagang malinaw kung ano nga ba yung kaibahan din ng unusual sa iba pang transaksyon na nangyayari nga sa bangko. Dahil nung nagdaang Justice Committee hearings, nakita kasi yung kaibahan din ng iba't ibang flagged transactions pagdating nga sa bangko. So, itong unusual kasi, ang sinasabi nila ay kakaiba lang naman, pero hindi siya kaduda-duda o suspicious na siya din nga naging point of argument nung ilan nga sa mga senator judges din kahapon. Pero so far, dahil nga nakita naman nila na naging mabilis yung proseso dito sa dalawang testigo pagdating nga doon sa mga checking, gusto nilang maipakita mismo at maipresenta pagdating sa confidential funds. Masasabi nila na maayos naman daw nilang nailatag at masaya sila sa kung ano nga ba yung kinalabasan mismo nitong pagpepresenta nila ng confidential funds.
Amy, doon sa listahan ng mga magiging witness next hearing by August 3 ay yung mga COA, taga-COA. Pero would you know sa pre-trial ba brief na ginawa ng prosecution, meron din ba silang nilista doon na retired intelligence officer na maaaring mag-testify din on the course of the trial? Because ito yung in-interject ni Senator Ping Lacson yesterday na for him, a competent witness para nga malaman natin kung talagang merong misuse nga dito sa confidential funds ng BISE.
I have to check, Angela, kung sino nga ba yung mga specific na talagang nakalagay doon sa pre-trial order na ispinasa nga din ng House of Representatives na tatayong witness para sa kanila. Pero what I'm sure of is gusto talaga nilang magpatawag ng representatives from the Commission on Audit para nga din na makumpleto daw or kumbaga mabuo nila yung naratibo dito sa auditing aspect naman ng confidential funds ni Vice President Sara Duterte. Kahapon raw kasi ang nakita na nga ng prosecution dito, maging ng senator judges at ng mga manonood, ay itong ang money trail kung saan totoong may encashment na nangyari na nagkakahalaga din ng 612.5 million pesos. So ngayon, ang next step ng prosecution ay magkaroon nga at maipakita kung ano nga ba yung naging proseso din ng auditing, saan nga ba na ilagay yung mga perang ito at ano nga ba yung naging report, liquidation report na ibinigay ng Office of the Vice President at Department of Education sa Commission on Audit para makita kung meron nga bang misuse of confidential funds.
Alright, thank you so much, mobile journalist Amy Atienza.
Beyond Clothing, Uniqlo highlights its commitment to community impact as it launches a sustainability initiative supporting education across the Philippines. Mobile journalist Denise Valdez-Sancho has the report.
For years, Uniqlo has grown to become a familiar part of everyday life for many Filipinos. But as the brand joins the celebration of 70 years of Philippines-Japan friendship, it says its focus goes beyond clothing and toward making a lasting impact in the communities it serves. During a commemorative event in Makati, the company launched its new sustainability initiative, which will help fund educational programs in 15 schools across the country through proceeds from select Arisim products.
Beginning today, a portion of the proceeds from every purchase of select Arisim products will help support educational initiatives benefiting 15 schools across the Philippines. This is more than a campaign. It reflects our long-term commitment to creating opportunities beyond our shores.
Company officials say education has now become a key pillar of their sustainability efforts, a way to help young Filipinos gain the skills and opportunities they need for the future.
This is something that we believe because education has become an important pillar for Uniqlo Philippines. And by investing in education, we believe and we hope to complement our broader community initiatives and helping equip young Filipino students with skills, confidence, and opportunities that they need to thrive.
The initiative also drew the support of government officials, including the Department of Education and the Department of Tourism, which described education as an investment not only in careers, but in the country's future. Officials also noted that the shared values of discipline, innovation, and community between Japan and the Philippines continue to strengthen the two nations' long-standing partnership.
You could not have made a better investment. Education prepares young people not just for jobs, but for life. It develops future innovators, entrepreneurs, artists, and leaders.
Beyond the education campaign, Uniqlo also unveiled special installations, cultural collaborations, and limited-time experiences inspired by both Japanese craftsmanship and Filipino creativity. From artisan patches and a special Uniqlo coffee menu to partnerships with local creatives, the activities aim to give customers a first-hand experience of the enduring friendship between the two countries.
We wanted to bring the 70th anniversary of the Philippines and Japan friendship to life in ways that the customers can genuinely experience from the region inspired that we have commemorative installations, partner with Salcedo Auction, and to collaborations with Filipino creatives and local partners. And through experiences such as Uniqlo, special artisan patches, the anniversary exclusive Uniqlo coffee menu, and curated UT collections, we hope customers can discover how Japanese craftsmanship and Filipino creativity come together.
Mobile journalist Denise Valdesancho, we are One News.
All right, don't go away. We still have more matters to discuss after this quick break. Keep it here on One News.
Good morning. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. As we know, two former land bank managers described the cash withdrawals of the OVP and DepEd as unusual because of their size and the use of physical cash. The OVP withdrew a total of 500 million pesos while DepEd encashed 112.5 million pesos during Sara Duterte's term. But both witnesses said the transactions were properly funded and were not technically suspicious. The defense waived its cross-examination of the first witness and briefly questioned the second. The trial resumes on Monday, August 3, with Commission on Audit officials expected to testify on how the funds were used, liquidated, and accounted for.
And to help us break down the legal significance of the latest testimonies in the impeachment trial, we are now joined by former IBP President Attorney Domingo Cayosa. Good morning, Attorney. Welcome back to Morning Matters.
Good morning.
Good morning, Angela, Pauline, and Cesca. Magandang umaga po sa ating mga kababayan.
All right. Well, Attorney, now we're going to be discussing a new article already. Tapos na po tayo sa grave threats. We move on to the misuse of confidential funds. And yesterday, so we saw the testimonies of the two former branch managers of land banks saying there was a withdrawal. There were withdrawals amounting to 500 million pesos. And they also described it as unusual. Attorney, how important were the testimonies and what was the prosecution able to establish through these?
The testimonies were important in the sense that it establishes na indeed those funds were withdrawn and how they were withdrawn. And I think that's the purpose, to lay the premise for the more important aspect of this charge, which is can the Vice President explain kanino niya binigay yung mga pera at explain niya bakit mali-mali yung mga resibo at fictitious mga pangalan at dinideny ng isang AFP, for example, na tumanggap sila for security or intelligence gathering activity ng pera mula sa Vice President o sa DepEd o OVP. That's the more important part of this charge. But of course, it is logical, it is proper for the prosecution to lay the premise na indeed, winidraw ito. I think ang added value lang nito for the people to realize, and all of us, including perhaps some of the lawmakers, na napakadali pa lang maglabas ng limpak-limpak na salapi ng tao. Kaya isang tawag lang. Their characterization na unusual ito, siguro is in layman's terms lang, na unusual in the sense na number one, normally sa mga government transactions, the release of the funds is done by check, identified yung recipient, at merong mga supporting documents. At yan, ide-deposito nung check ang tatanggapin nung payee, contractor, supplier, or anybody who has rendered service of value or product to the government. At ide-deposito yan. This is unusual because it's a huge amount of money at ang tumatanggap yung isang lower ranking official lang. It is also unusual in the sense na every 3 months merong ganitong transaction. Hindi ito isolated transaction at ituhan kumbaga. It's also unusual in the sense na kinuha nga na cash at kinarga na lang sa mga bags ng mga tauhan ng Vice President o yung mga empleyado niya. So, I think even by that time, they already perhaps suspected na either confidential fund or intelligence fund ito because that's not how it is done in other regular transactions of government. So, that's the only purpose. Sa totoo, if both parties, the defense and the prosecution agreed, pwede na sanang in-stipulate ito because ang kwento lang ng mga managers, the usual operating procedure ng isang
Right. Oo. Well, that is why the defense, di ba, hindi na po sila nag-cross-examine. Pero, attorney, my question here is how significant is the two witnesses' testimonies that actually corroborated with Ramil Madriaga's claims from how many bags were used, the colors of the bag, diba? The color of the bags, and even the timestamp on when the money was withdrawn.
That's the more important aspect of this. Kasi nga, we have another unrelated witness, which is Ramil Madriaga, allegedly, na nagbibigay ng detalye. So, titignan ngayon ng prosecution at tayo din, mga hukom at taong bayan, nagkakatugma ba yung timeline, yung mga amounts, paano nagawa. Kasi kung magkatugma, at hindi naman magkakilala itong si Ramil Madriaga at itong mga managers, wala silang relasyon, di ba? Ay maaring credible o kapanipaniwala yung testimonya ni Ramil Madriaga despite the fact na he is accused of many crimes, nakakulong siya, those doubts will be overcome kung there is may convergence yung mga detalye. I think that's the bigger purpose here and the more important value of this testimony and the details of the transaction.
But attorney, does unusual automatically equate to illegal or a wrongdoing? And even if the prosecution established already that there were withdrawals of large sums of cash, what additional link does the prosecution still need to establish that there was misuse of confidential funds?
Well, number one, kung yung testimonya ni Madriaga, kung totoo yun na pagkakuha sa bangko, dinala sa ombudsman, dinala sa ibang mga lugar, na hindi naman dun sa mga kine-claim nila na intelligence gathering activities. So, importante yon. And then, kasi nga, meron ng ebidensya ng mga pekeng Mary Grace Piatos receipts and similar kinds of receipts. Meron ng ebidensya na yung maraming resibo, iba-ibang tao, pero iisa lang ang gumagawa ng mga pirma. Meron na ring pag-aamin yung mga undersecretaries and high government officials ng DepEd, nakakatanggap sila ng mga cash in envelopes. And then yung AFP din, meron silang pinasinungalingan na dineclare ng Office of the Vice President na yung activity daw nila ang pinondohan nila, pero meron silang certification na hindi sila tumanggap. Meron silang sariling budget for that. So, kailangan magkakatugma lahat ito so that malinaw na misuse of funds. Malinaw na yung withdraw na pera hindi ginamit for intelligence gathering or for security purposes at yung gawa-gawa na lang yung mga supporting evidence or proof of payouts para pagtakpan yung pagkuha ng pera. Importante rin dito yung COA kasi meron ng finding yung COA na mukhang hindi tama nga yung paggamit, kulang-kulang yung mga documentary support.
Well, Senator Ping Lacson interjected yesterday that neither the prosecution or the defense is presenting a competent witness. He even suggested that to get a retired intelligence officer to somehow shed light on the process of how the funds are being disbursed pagdating sa confidential funds. So do you agree with that, Attorney?
Well, competent naman yung mga managers to testify in their own turf, di ba? Ed Madriaga would be competent kung nagsasabi siya ng totoo doon sa talagang personal na alam niya. So, each witness can be competent in his own sphere, yung alam talaga niya. But Senator Lacson makes a good point. And I suppose the prosecutors can learn from what he said. And perhaps yun nga, sabi nila, mabilis silang kumambyo, meron pa kaming mga additional witnesses. Why is that important? Kasi yung mga talagang legitimate intelligence agencies that are legally entitled to intelligence funds, meron silang mga usual process. At malamang alam din yan ng COA. COA could be competent to testify on that. Kasi yan, usually, per project basis. Ito kasi, every 3 months, bultuhan eh.
Yun nga eh.
So, yun, nun, i-contrast nila, ito yung legit na intelligence activities by legitimate intelligence agencies. Ibang-iba dun sa ginagawa ng OVP at saka DepEd. Kasi nga naman, wala namang intelligence gathering responsibility yung Office of the Vice President or the DepEd Secretary. Kaya nakakapagtaka din na bakit binigyan ng Office of the President ito ng intelligence funds, di ba? Which, if you look at the PBBM circular and COA circular, only those who have security or intelligence gathering activities ang pwedeng partihan ng intelligence fund ng sino man. So yun, ipapakita yung contrast na one. And the Office of the President should also explain anong basihan bakit nagbigay kayo kasi dyan. Of course, yung maling paggamit, wala naman dun sa Office of the President. Nasa Office ng Vice President o DepEd Secretary. They have a duty to explain. Unfortunately, in their answer to the complaint kasi, puro pag-iiwas hindi nila in-explain doon. So, malaki ang burden nila later on. But again, the prosecution should be very thorough because they cannot rely on the weakness of the explanation of the Vice President. They have to prove their own case.
Pero for you, Attorney, what do you think is the central question that the impeachment court must answer under this particular article? Because I remember for the previous one, the grave threats, people were asking, did the Vice President really contract an assassin? Sino yung hitman? But the prosecution was emphasizing also, no, the mere utterance of these threats already constitute betrayal of public trust. So for this article on misuse of confidential funds, kailangan pa ba patunayan ng prosecution that the Vice President benefited from these funds?
No, they don't have to do that. What they can do only is to show that lumabas yung pera, it's supposed to be for intelligence gathering activities. At yung sinubmit nila na supporting documents to prove that indeed these were used for intelligence gathering activities, peke. Peke yung mga taong tumanggap, they don't exist, peke yung mga resibo, yung mga sinasabihang agency na binigyan nila and their particular activities na pinondohan nila, hindi naman pala kasi meron silang sariling pera. Yun lang ang kinakailangang ipatunayan nila. Because if you cannot explain and properly document the disbursement of public funds or the use of public funds, na winidraw mo, ang presumption of course, kinuha mo yon, ginamit mo sa iba. Yun, krimen yun.
Okay, so the defense, go ahead, may dadagdag po kayo?
They don't have to, for example, they don't have to prove na yung perang winidraw, dineposito niya sa sariling bangko niya. Yung pera dinala sa bahay,
Personal.
hindi ko naman yun eh. It's the accountability. Tumanggap ka, nag-withdraw ka ng public funds, it is your duty to properly account for it and document it. Kung hindi mo magawa yan, ang presumption, guilty ka dun sa charge of malversation, dun sa charge of yung pagwaldas sa pera ng bayan.
Okay, so ang depensa po, ang kanilang sinasabi po lagi pagdating sa usapin ng confidential funds ay ang aliases daw po ay normal lang yan sa mga intelligence work. But of course, we have been discussing that sinasabi nga po nila that intelligence are allowed or intelligence operations are allowed to use aliases or codes so long that meron pong paper trail dapat. And yun nga po, to your point kanina, doon sa COA DBM joint circular, dapat po talaga may ganoon na nilalagay kung sino yung mga nandoon sa operation na intelligence operation rather. So ngayon po, how important is that the prosecution mapakita po in the trial na wala pong joint DBM circular or wala pong paper trail na ganon ang prosecution?
Well, mukhang meron ng ebidensya kung maalala natin dun sa Quadcom, di ba? Pag-iimbestiga ng congressman noon and then dun sa Justice Committee nung second round ng impeachment proceeding. Meron na ho kasing mga pag-aamin at mga testigo. Meron ng report yung mga handwriting expert na iba-ibang tao nakalagay sa pangalan ng resibo. Pero yung pumipirma para sa kanilang lahat, iisang kamay. Doon pa lang talagang mali na yon, di ba? Meron ding yung mga pangalan na ginamit, they don't really exist. So these are fictitious name. Now, kung sabihin nila, hindi, sinekreto namin, di ngayon palabasin nila kung sino mga yan. You know, if they are really spies or agents, na secret agents, kumbaga, di gawin nilang executive session. Patayuin nila ngayon. Because, you know, the fact na confidential fund yan, intelligence fund, hindi ho totoo na hindi pwedeng malaman kung kanino binigay yan.
Right.
Kasi kung yan ang patakaran, yan ang batas, pag binigyan ka ng intelligence fund, pwede mo nang ibulsa lahat hindi ho ganun. Na-audit din yan, responsibility. That's a false narrative. That's,
right.
You know, just a lie and a propaganda na gustong paniniwalaan ng taong bayan. So maganda na tinatalakay ninyo sa mass media para ipaliwanag na hindi ho totoo yan. May responsibilidad pa rin silang mag-account at merong kapangyarihan at kinakailangan tukuyin pa rin kung meron ba talagang pinagbigyan o sabi-sabi nyo lang kasi kung ganon, ibig sabihin binulsa nyo yung pera.
All right, Attorney, well, before we let you go, we also wanted to get your thoughts doon sa naging opening statement kahapon ng prosecution led by Congresswoman Laila De Lima because in the midst of her opening statement, the defense objected and the presiding officer also warned her not to delve into conclusions of fact and law and eventually the Congresswoman was asked to stop. Tama po ba yung naging desisyon ni presiding officer kahapon to draw the line?
Tama ho naman at unfair din sa defense yan. At maganda rin nag-object agad si Attorney Powa. Kaya lang talagang makulit si Congresswoman De Lima hindi siya maawat. Kaya tama lang, pinahinto na lang siya because it is also damaging. Because basic ho naman sa rules ng litigation, whether in the impeachment court or in any other court, the job of a prosecutor or a defense counsel, ilatag yung ebidensya, period. You don't make conclusions of law or conclusions of fact. That is for the court to do, hindi ikaw. So, dahil nakikinig ang buong sambayan ng Pilipino dito, it's a public trial, kung minsan, kanya-kanyang singit ang magkabilang panig ng mga conclusions of law and conclusions of fact para makondisyon yung paniniwala ng taong bayan. Bawal ho yun. So, it's correct na pinigilan siya. Sana nga mas in charge yung Senate as a whole and the presiding officer para hindi maulit ito. Kasi nga, they keep on violating the rules of the impeachment court. Pati nga yung mga press conferences nila na violative of the sub judice rules, Section 18 ng Senado, kanya-kanyang violation ng magkabilang panig. Lalong-lalo na yung mga senador judges themselves. Sila yung nangungunang nagbabiolate ng mga rules nila eh. Hindi nakakatulong yan to maintain credibility of the impeachment process.
Right. Well, as always, thank you very much for sharing your time and your insights with us. That was Attorney Domingo Cayosa, former IBP President. Thank you, Attorney.
Thank you.
Morning. Maraming salamat.
Now stay tuned. Morning Matters returns after a quick break.
Good morning, I'm Cesca Litton-Kalaw. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. The Philippine National Police is integrating jiu-jitsu into its training program to strengthen non-lethal suspect restraint, improve officer safety, and promote human rights compliance. The initiative teaches police personnel grappling, leverage, and control techniques designed to subdue suspects while minimizing the use of force during operations. Recently, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Grandmaster Higan Machado conducted a specialized seminar for PNP personnel at Camp Crame. The PNP said the program is part of its continuing efforts to enhance the skills and professionalism of its personnel. Joining us now is Coach John Sandoval, who leads the Law Enforcement Jiu-Jitsu program for the Philippine National Police National Headquarters and the PNP Special Action Force. And also with us is Grandmaster Higan Machado, a 9th degree red belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, also the very first Jiu-Jitsu Grandmaster to set foot in the Philippines. Good morning. Welcome to the Philippines. Welcome to Morning Matters. Thank you so much for joining us here.
It's my pleasure.
I actually met Coach Johns a few months ago when I interviewed Half Gracie. So this is, I know it's a continuing effort for the PNP to learn Jiu-Jitsu. Maybe we can start with Coach Johns first. How did the Jiu-Jitsu initiative start? And there was Half, now we have Grandmaster Higan.
Actually, we started with Master Henzo Gracie first last July. And then I said we had to do this continuously because in Jiu-Jitsu, the only way to become more efficient is to have continuous training. There's no such thing as I teach you this and you'll know that forever.
And then again, first time in the Philippines?
It's my first time, yes.
All right. So what have you been doing so far? You arrived I think Sunday.
I arrived in a short trip for 3 or 4 days to help him to talk some people, introduce Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, to help the police force, and so far so good. Yeah.
Were you able to speak to your cousins about their previous trips to the Philippines?
I call Ralphie because it was my first time in Philippines. He told me it's an amazing place, and he speaks so well about my friend over here. So I'm excited to come. I almost came here 20 years ago.
Oh, almost.
Yeah, I got invited to do a movie here, but I couldn't make it. But I sent my brother in my place.
Okay.
I have another.
Well, now you're here, so thank you. But Coach John's, very important, House Bill number 7850. Could you tell us more about this?
It's just a mandatory institutionalizing the training for the PNP with Jiu-Jitsu. So it has to be integrated with their training now because right now they don't have that kind of structure. So we're pushing for this. So whoever's leading the PNP, it doesn't matter anymore. We have to have this. And so we have the world-class talents. I'm bringing the world-class talents to, say, jumpstart it and make sure that we have the best training we can.
Grandmaster Higan, the thing with Jiu-Jitsu is size doesn't matter.
Size doesn't matter.
For let's say, a person like me who's 5'3", maybe 110 pounds, soaking wet, there are techniques, there are ways, but for people of small stature, small physical stature, to is the correct word overpower or?
No, everything, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is about leverage. It's about, Carlos Grace, the founder of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, was a small guy. He realized because he's a small guy, every time he go to the ground, he was able to control the fight by doing a choke on bar. That's how the idea to take the fight to the ground was his idea, because he was a smaller guy. He on the ground, he have a chance to dominate the fight. That's how everything started, with this idea of Carlos Grace.
How did the PNP respond to the jiu-jitsu training?
They responded really well because I was able to go inside. Although we had to go through a really strenuous vetting. Of course, they have to make sure that I have no records, you know. And at least we're able to start. At least I think the first year was just last May.
Okay. In terms of, because obviously there's a lot of grappling involved, but police have their firearms, the sidearms on them. So how do they prevent, you know, the people that they may or may not tackle to the ground from getting their hands on the weapons if they're in that close
you
contact?
have a specific training. First, the first step is to train the instructors, and the second step is to specific train some techniques to avoid that. Because somebody come to try grab my gun, what I do. And Jiu-Jitsu have some good techniques for you to prevent that. That's why I think Jiu-Jitsu puzzle well with the police force.
Well, to be a grandmaster, you have to have had at least 45 to 48 years of...
I've been doing Jiu-Jitsu, I'm 60 today. I've been doing that when 5 years old, over 55 years now.
But our PNP just started doing it.
Yes.
So at what point, how much training, how much time needs to be allocated to this in terms of their practice? Because it has to become...
It's very, what we do, I did a program for police in LAPD.
Okay.
And the same program I help them, I want to help him, is few techniques, not too many techniques, like 20 techniques, very simple, well-trained, just to give some options for the police force when they get to a battle situation, know what to do a little bit.
In terms of the moves used in subduing suspects or people, how much of it should be, let's say, close contact grappling? How much of it is striking?
I think the idea is to protect the police and protect the people get arrested. Basically, like we try use that techniques to protect both. That's where Jiu-Jitsu come, because Jiu-Jitsu gives some tools it's some option not to try hurt each other, but to protect the policemen in case somebody attack them, what to do to protect them. And when you arrest somebody, give some techniques for you to help to arrest the criminal.
With the kind of training, can you take us through a day of training with the PNP, especially with Grandmaster Higan coming in?
Oh, they're very, very receptive, you know. That's why I like teaching the police, because when you tell them to be quiet, they're very...
They listen.
Yeah, they listen. Yeah. You compare it to like the regular class, where sometimes they're kids, sometimes everyone's on their phones. It's different discipline with our law enforcement.
With each grandmaster that has come in, is it the same batch of PNP personnel, or is it different every single time?
Not really, because now we're growing. We started with, I think, around 20 or 30 participants with Henzo. And then when we got to Master Half, there were so many that Master Half told me to tell them to stop the warm-up because the ground was shaking.
Oh.
That's true.
That was awesome.
There were so many. We didn't expect that many. I think it's almost around 140 participants, all from the different regions of our country.
So how far-reaching do you see this going on for the PNP?
Oh, well, it's not only in the PNP now. DND has already contacted me
Okay.
for their training, and we're coordinating with other law enforcement agencies. So it's going to be really big.
So are you coming back?
I'll come back. I really like Philippines here. I hope to come back here, do a movie here too.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, you have done several movies. I know you have another one lined up, but
Yes, yes.
with everything that you're doing, how are you finding the time? Obviously, this is
I like
a
to be
passion.
busy. It's like I think life is about challenge. It's like it's amazing because I start my own energy drink. It's called Machado Energy Drink. What was amazing, the first buyers from the energy drink was Philippines.
Okay.
And that's why I said, wow, I have to go to Philippines.
And it's all
Right,
natural.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of, you were also at the Congress. You were also
Yes.
at Congress, and you were also at the Senate.
Yes,
what happened over there?
we passed by our great sponsor, Congressman Michael D. He's the principal sponsor for this House Bill 7850. And then Congresswoman Ann Matibag and Congressman Roger Mercado, who has been supporting us since the start.
How important is this in terms of, because obviously when it comes to law enforcement, we are used to seeing our policemen, our law enforcement personnel with weapons. So in terms of adding another skill to their arsenal, how does this add value? How does this add, just training and...
No, I believe it's very simple because it's not like you want to train him to become a black belt in this. You just want to teach them like maybe 15 to 20 techniques. Very simple, very easy, just to give them something in case it happen, they know what to do something. Yeah. That's what we did to LAPD. That's what I hope we do the same here.
It's just because it's different when they have the confidence to stop something that's going on versus when they see an unruly crowd, they step back and then they hold their gun. So the public don't have the confidence with them as well. But when we arm them with this, we teach them the proper way of handling situations like that, you and me will feel safe. And it's a great initiative for our community.
Well, there's confidence, but there's also discipline.
Yes.
And jiu-jitsu it requires a lot of discipline. How will you instill this in the people that got a great start in jiu-jitsu, by the way?
No, it's very simple. Everything is about drills, repetition, and consistency. You have a chance to repeat the techniques and practice consistency, you're going to be okay. You're going to be able to apply the techniques very well.
We've seen very big names in the world of jiu-jitsu come to the Philippines, and they come in every few months. So what happens in between? Like, what is going on when the grandmasters, when the masters are not here?
We train that technique that they left us non-stop until we get another technique from the second or the third grandmaster or master that's coming in. So we just train that repetition, and then we perfect it, and then we can deploy that whenever it's needed.
With the other agencies, exactly which agencies again have shown interest, and do you have any plans already?
Yes, it's Department of National Defense. We're just waiting for the meeting with them, but we had a letter already. And for I think it's Bucor or BJMP. Those guys really need grappling because it's really required in their job on a day-to-day basis. So that's I think one of a couple of the agencies that are already expressed their interest in our training.
And can you just give us a picture in terms of visualizing the kind of technique needed for a smaller person to be able to subdue a much larger person? Because again, the picture is brute force always. Strength, size matters. So, how would you say the technique works?
LAPD I have this problem because I have a lot of female cops.
Okay.
And basically, what I did, I got 2 girls I brought to my studio. I trained them for 6 months. After this, I brought these 2 girls, and the 2 girls arrest everybody. Because you learn how to work together. You know what I mean? The 2 girls knowing what to do, they're going to be able to do the right arrest. And they arrest the other people who knew what they tried to do. Imagine on the street, these 2 girls going to be able to arrest anybody. Everything's training, practice. I think 2 small people come together, come a big person. And these 2 girls, well trained, they can arrest anybody.
What was the biggest hurdle in the PNP being introduced to jiu-jitsu?
Well, it's really about the vetting. So they have to go through my records, whatever my past is. And of course, it goes through a lot of people, especially in an institution like the PNP. They have to be sure that they're training with the right people. So I have to thank my professor, Alvin Aguilar. So he's the one who instilled jiu-jitsu in my life as well.
Alvin, of course, another very familiar name for mixed martial artists here in the Philippines. But in terms of not just the audience, not just the people learning, not just the PNP or the agencies that are already interested, it's also growing the sport. It's also growing the martial art here in the Philippines. How would you encourage people to join?
I think the key is the number, build the sport first. I think that's to attract people to compete. After this, the number of the academies, and I think the number of competitors, the incentive, like sponsors, and that's how that happened in America. Is now have thousands and thousands of athletes, hundreds of academies. I think the same is going to happen to the Philippines. I think we plant the seed, now let's see the jiu-jitsu grow.
Maybe you can have family training day.
For sure.
All right, before we let you go, again, maybe you can, have send out a message to people in terms of exploring the martial art of jiu-jitsu.
I think martial arts in general, not just Brazilian jiu-jitsu, is good for your autoesteem, is your confidence, and more you practice, more comfortable, and is for you protect yourself to anything. I think martial arts in general is a good, is good for the soul.
So John?
Well, for me, I just want to thank our supporters like Senator Bongo, Senator Mig Zubiri, and the Senate President Win Gatchalian. They're supporting our bill now, and then they always welcome us in the Senate.
All right,
And the PSC, Philippine Sports Commission.
Here's to safer streets. Here's to a safer Philippines. All right, thank you for your time, Coach John Sandoval and Grandmaster Higa Machado. Don't go away. Morning Matters will be back after a short break.
Good morning, mga kapatid. You're still watching Morning Matters.
Right, so that's it for today's news. But before we go, I thought Cesca was going to have a demo for jiu-jitsu.
I was ready to kick off my heels.
I was ready to see you kick. Sayang naman.
That was interesting though, because the PNP is now focusing on teaching its personnel non-lethal ways of subduing suspects.
That's good, di ba? But there are other methods to do that.
Other than using firearms, di ba?
Is important. But going back to other topics, for about the impeachment case. Okay, so we will wait for the next impeachment trial, which is on August 3. on Monday. And
August na?
August na agad.
August na pala?
Wait, what?
Malapit na. Jose Marichan is
Naku,
waving.
oo.
Like that. Sabi ni Jose Marichan.
Pagapang na siya sa wall.
But anyway, so let's wait for it because they're going to be presenting 2 new witnesses from the Commission on Audit. Okay, that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. I'm Angela Lagunzad-Castro.
We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. I'm Cesca Litton-Kalaw.
Let's make the day matter. I'm Pauline Verzosa, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
Kapatid, we're on you.
All sides,
all the time.